So this is going to be a very different video from my usual stuff. This is going to be more of a podcast style / therapy session for me because I need to get some stuff off my chest because I've been having a massive creative block because of this one issue. If you follow me on other social media platforms, you know how outspoken I've been against all the horrible things that have been going on in the world. And I have been able to weed out awful people from my social media by either they unfollow me or blocking me, which is great, or I block them. And I found that very therapeutic to get rid of people that don't need to be in my life or follow me on social media. And so if you follow me on this channel, but you don't know where I stand on a lot of other things because you don't follow my social media, you might find yourself unsubscribing after this video. And I'm totally okay with that because I have been struggling a lot lately. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I go through a lot of highs and lows. And my anxiety has been at an all-time high because it's just like constant, like everything that's going on in the world is affecting me greatly because I'm an empath. So I interpret everything, and everything, the weight of the world is on my shoulders. So I feel like I have this duty to fix everything. And then I realize how powerless I am to make any actual change happen. And I feel like a complete failure. And it just weighs on me beyond compare. And then that just ties in with the depression, where I feel like I'm a complete failure and I'm unable to do anything I actually want to do. And it's not easy. And so what happens is I lose my creative fire. I self-isolate and cut myself off from the world because I don't want to be around anyone. I don't deserve to be around anyone. And then I feel sorry for myself and I wonder why I have no one in my life. And then at the same time, it's just this constant cycle of like, I want to be left alone. I want nothing to do with the world, but I also want people around me, good people around me. And that's a struggle. And then I go out and exercise, I get some sun, I hang out with good friends, and I get uplifted again. And I need those good people in my life. Like there are very few things that are keeping me going right now. My two best friends are keeping me sane and somewhat happy. And Philip DeFranco on YouTube has also been keeping me sane and grounded. Because, and this is something that has been hitting me really hard as well, is that I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to see the content that I wasn't seeing on my YouTube channel. So I wanted to create the content that I would like to watch. And it pains me to see all of my, well, not all of my, but the vast majority of creators on any platform, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube especially, refusing to talk about or even acknowledge what's going on in the world. And for me, that hurts because it feels like the world is crumbling and people are going on about their lives as usual, as if nothing is happening, even though hundreds of thousands of people have now died because of this pandemic. Hundreds of thousands of people are unemployed, losing their jobs, or becoming homeless because of this. The government is at an all-time corruption level for the entire world to witness. There was an actual coup, and everyone just is talking about the latest MacBooks. And, you know, I get it. For some people, this is the escape from the world that they want to witness, and they don't want the real world brought into their escape. And I get that. But at the same time, I feel it's so disingenuous to just go about life as normal and not acknowledge the world we're currently in. You know, like, it hurts because I have all these videos planned out that I want to do and I'm excited about. But at the same time, I'm like, who the hell wants to hear about a new microphone or a new camera or a new computer when people are literally dying? You know, like, that feels so wrong. And I felt like I was genuinely going crazy because everyone was looking at me like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as you think. And I'm like, are you on the same planet that I am? Are you consuming the same news that I am? Do you have eyes? You know? And it was just so frustrating. And I felt like I was going crazy because everyone thought I was the crazy one. And then I continued watching Philip DeFranco videos, and I'm like, oh, refreshing face to know that I am not the crazy one, that the world is going to crap. And I needed to relate to someone else that could see that the world was going to crap. And this is not normal, you know? All of this that is happening is not normal. And it's only going to continue to get worse because people refuse to make actual change happen. You know, these past 4 years with the current presidency in the USA, everyone saw this coming. Everyone that I know saw this coming, and it shouldn't come as a surprise. But everything that's happened over the past 4 years is not only because of the past 4 years. It's because of the past 400 years, because of the US's inability, refusal to actually look at its problems and try and change the big issues. The US has always had a racial and inequality problem, and they refuse to do anything about it. And it's hard to witness this. And people are like, oh, it's the last 4. It's not the last 4 years. And, you know, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, there's so much skewed news, and people go down rabbit holes and get, what's the word I'm looking for? Brainwashed, radicalized into thinking very wrong things. And I don't think humans are born inherently bad. So I always try, where a reasonable conversation can be held, to try and listen to some of these very out there people. And at first the conversation seems fine, and then it just devolves into this horrible, horrible thing. And I just get so tired of it. And I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And not a single time have I been able to make any change happen. Like, I was talking at the in 2016, I was talking to someone who I considered a friend at the time. And through this discussion, we started talking about slavery. And then all of a sudden, she was defending slavery. And I was like, you are on the wrong side of this argument. Like, do you know how far gone you have to be defending slavery? And I can't reason with these people. I'm at the end of my rope. And no one, and everyone's saying, oh, you know, you should listen to the other side. This is a time for healing. This is a time. Listen to the other side and see how they're. No. You should not be doing that. When one side is literal Nazis who wants to take over the world, who thought that Hitler didn't do a good enough job, who are parading around with their white privilege beyond compare, who refuse to wear masks for the greater good, who have never been told no in their life, think they have the power to do whatever they want, and are so far gone that no amount of actual truth will ever convince them otherwise. You do not need to interact with these people. You do not need to listen to these people. These people should not be a part of society. And it hurt me when I was looking at the UN resolution to put down, what's the word I'm looking for? The UN resolution to say that Nazis are bad, that white supremacy is bad. And the US's statement on that was, we disagree with that. We think that people should be able to make their own decisions. No. Just denounce it. It's not that hard. There is a right and wrong. It's not a difference of opinion. We can have difference of opinions on camera companies and sports teams and food. We can't have difference of opinions on whether or not someone deserves the right to live because of the color of their skin. That's not a difference of opinion. That's you're wrong, and you need to either be taught why you're wrong and acknowledge that you're wrong, or cease to be a part of functioning society. There is no space for that in this day and age. And yet, day in and day out, we are reminded that this is not only an issue that is prevalent, but is gaining momentum. And that's what also kills me. You know, like the coup on the Capitol building in the United States was a white supremacist terrorist act. There's no way around that. And if you're trying to justify that by any means, you know what the unsubscribe button is for. I don't want those type of people in my life. If you are trying to justify white supremacy and terrorism, I don't need that. Now, even though that feels like it happened and it was a failed coup attempt, you again see how prevalent white privilege is. When there were 14,000 arrests at the BLM protests and people were brutally beaten and killed and lost eyes. And what? There have been now, as of today, less than 100 arrests because of an actual coup. And the FBI is like, oh, we don't know where these people are. Can you help us find them? No. There was so much video footage and so many photos. The fact that they have to now go ahead and track these people down shows that they are giving them a head start to get away. And I realistically think they're never going to catch 100% of the people that were part of this insurrection. And that is such a slap in the face that actual peaceful protesters who were protesting for the betterment of mankind, who were protesting for equality, were treated so badly and were arrested on the spot and shot on the spot. But white supremacists literally brandishing weapons and hurting people and murdering people and breaking into one of the most secure buildings in the world were treated like children who were acting out. No. Treat them like the white supremacist terrorists they are. And this wasn't some angry mob. This was organized. This was planned. There were people on the inside who were giving tours the day before, doing reconnaissance for what was going to happen. They planted bombs. They brought zip ties for kidnapping. This is not normal behavior. And then the white supremacist in chief finally got banned on Twitter. Finally. And people were outraged. He literally incited a coup and has incited so much violence and has made these people feel like they can get away with actual murder because they can. Crimes against minorities, crimes against anti-Semitic crimes have gone up thousands of % during his time in office. This is not normal behavior. You know, when any other president in the United States ever won a presidency, you didn't see people wearing shirts and brandishing flags for 4 years about that president. No normal person goes out and buys thousands of dollars of merch to parade around for 4 years. That's not normal. Clearly, there's something other than this, and they relate this to their white supremacist leader. If you look at history, which I'm a huge fan of and loved in school, you look at what happened leading up to World War II and leading up to Hitler taking control. He didn't do it overnight. This was over years. And he had a failed coup attempt as well, the beer hall push. And when that failed, because there was no actual justice, there was no punishment, that's why he was able to take power. He had started a movement that was so strong, and because it wasn't crushed immediately and said, this is not who we are, we're going to make sure that this never happens again by using the full extent of the law and making sure that these people are jailed for life or no longer stealing oxygen, it was too late. Instead of, he was given, 9 years, 10 years of a sentence and served 9 months in a very cushy prison cell where he was able to write Mein Kampf. And because of that, he was able to take power because the movement was not crushed. They were lenient. And even though it feels like this coup attempt failed and now we are trying to recuperate from that, we all know that there's scheming going on in the background, and this is not the end. And it's just unbelievable that people are still like, oh, we have to do this, we have to heal, now is the time for healing, now is the time for unity. No, now is the time for justice and harsh justice to make sure that this never, ever, ever happens again. And by the current political landscape of things, it doesn't look like that's going to happen at all. These people in government are so weak. All it takes is it's really not that difficult. You know, you have people in the government who are wearing censorship masks as they're on the microphone, on camera, to the news. If the president felt like he was being censored, he's the president of the United States. He could get on a podium and talk to the camera and address the nation. But that's not who he is. Because teleprompter president and Twitter president are two very different people. I'm just so sick of all this stuff going on. And then you have the whole pandemic and how these idiots don't wear masks, refuse to be any kind of decent human being, even though now over 400,000 people in the US alone have died. This is a worldwide pandemic. And people are pretending like nothing is wrong. And yet hundreds of thousands of people are dying. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to have lifelong side effects that are going to affect their quality of life. Hundreds of thousands of people are never going to be able to see loved ones again. They're not going to be able to attend funerals. They're not going to be by the deathbed to hear the last words of people. Hospitals are at such full capacity that any minor thing that would never be life-threatening suddenly becomes life-threatening. Because if you cut your hand or break a bone, suddenly there's no space in the hospital for you. Suddenly that becomes something life-threatening. My grandfather recently passed away. And he fought in the Swiss military during World War II. And before that, he worked at a newspaper and was very outspoken about the atrocities that were happening in neighboring Germany. There are just so many things that brought me to making this video, because I'm just so sick of everything in the world, and it's weighing on me beyond compare. And yes, I know I'm talking about wearing a mask, but the reason I'm not currently wearing a mask is because there is literally no one within a 2-kilometer radius of me. That is why I chose this place. So yes, wear a mask, don't go outside, social distance, wash your hands. Basic human decency, science, things that are now rare in the world. And it pains me to see that. And now, most recently, the US is talking about raising the minimum wage to $15, which is... And the thing that hurts me is seeing all over social media people arguing about how they don't think people deserve to live, right? They're like, oh, $15 is too much. How dare you make that much as a burger flipper? First off, you were calling them heroes and essential workers a month ago. Now you're calling them burger flippers. If minimum wage had kept up with inflation, minimum wage would currently be over $24. The fact that minimum wage has been $7 and some cents since 70 years ago now just shows you they never cared. And for people to be bickering about how much they make when Jeff Bezos is making $150,000 or more a minute. This is the thing, is like people are so divided and are so only thinking about themselves that they will never realize that they are being pitted against each other by the 1%. This is why the 1% holds 99% of the wealth in the world. Is because people always think it's unfair that someone else has something a little bit better than them, not unfair that their current situation is 100% being enacted by the people with the puppet strings. And for real change to happen, I think people need to realize that. You are worth it. And just because you are worth it, and you should be getting paid more, doesn't mean that someone else doesn't deserve to get paid more. You're looking at teachers in the United States who are not making a livable wage. These people are so important. They are literally educating the future generations of the world. And they have to use their own paychecks to buy pencils and paper clips and erasers for their students. Make it make sense. I think the world is going to continue to get worse before it gets better. And that's what hurts. I was always raised that the earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. And for people to hate others just for existing, I will never understand that. So if you disagree with anything that I said in this video, you know what to do.